Skirt. Woo! Holy cow. Woo!
I'm exhausted.
That was something.
I don't know though. I really feel like going swimming.
Oh, Jesus! I'll tell you this. That guy knows how to make a damn movie.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
That was something.
Yeah, I don't even know where to start.
Took something out of you watching that one.
I'm exhausted. I'm exhausted.
That was yeah. Woo.
Okay, so that all said, like, that was amazing, right?
Yeah, it was really good.
Like, oh my God.
Yeah.
I'm like sweaty and I'm tired and my abs and my hands hurt from like clenching the whole time. Oh my God.
I heard you biting on your nails a couple times.
I think I don't even have a fingernail left on this thumb. Which
I noticed in another movie you doing, but now I really know you do that. If you're into a movie, you're biting your nails.
Yeah, do you know what my number one fear is?
Drowning.
My number one fear is drowning.
Yeah.
And this just
There's so much drowning.
Was full of people drowning or like being threatened to drown. Oh, that like shook me up, like most of it.
Yeah, if it's not like, it's definitely not my favorite movie I've seen this year, because like you can't say you can say you can enjoy that movie, but it's not like, it's not fun, you know. And but it's incredibly well acted, it's incredibly well written, it's incredibly well directed, and it's Nolan with his movies, the way they look is some of the best.
I can't believe the way it was shot.
There was point I just think like that's probably my favorite part of this movie, was just like anytime there was a wide zoomed out shot, the airplanes was the best one when they're shooting, and the shots were just incredible, and you could tell everything was real. There was no CG in that movie.
Didn't look like it.
And you know, the other thing that was incredible was the detail. Like, stuff he didn't have to do. They're on the beach, and in the distance, probably like 50 miles away, there was a fire going on. Like, you don't have to do that at all. And it's a big fire, and there's so much detail in that stuff.
It's just like, it's crazy because in the middle of all of this, you know, like Tom Hardy's just shooting in his plane or whatever, and then he'll pull up to spin around, and you'll get a wide angle shot of his plane just against like the clouds and the sun, and for a second there you're like, oh my God, that's gorgeous.
Yeah.
And then the next shot is someone drowning in and it's just like,
yeah, that was insane.
Tommy knows how to shoot a movie. Like, that whole time was just. That's probably one of the like most gorgeous movies I've ever watched.
And it's not like, and none of it is like, it's not shot on like the best. It's not shot on 4K or anything like that. It's all shot on like film.
Yeah.
But it's gorgeous in the way of just like the angles and the practical effects. I had to look it up on the way out, just like some of the trivia. He shot down, destroyed 50 real naval ships. Of
course he did.
He anytime there was like a ton of people like in the ships and stuff, he sometimes did like props from those like wide angles. There was like sometimes cardboard people in there. Like, he did it so smart.
Yeah.
But he didn't use CGI, which like that's a whole nother level of respect for that movie, especially because the ocean they're out in the middle of the ocean.
Yeah.
You know, like, that's insane. That was so insane.
Ugh.
That was my favorite part, was the visuals, for sure. I mean, there's something in that movie is going to be nominated for an Oscar. I could totally see it being nominated for Best Picture, but at least visuals.
Yeah, like cinematography or something.
Yeah.
And the sound.
Yeah.
Because
this had
like of the war movies I've seen, this movie like put me like I'm in a safe place in the movie theater.
Yeah.
But I felt like terrified for all those guys, and like you felt like you were there, and you could understand. I mean, as much as we could understand what they went through, like you felt like you were right in the shit with them.
Yeah.
And a lot of that was the sound. Anytime that they were hunkered down on the boats and a plane came over and was firing, it was bang bang bang. It was really really loud. Like it like startled you. All of the, it was just so loud, and that's how. That's guns are loud.
Right.
A lot of the times you'll watch a movie and it'll be like boom, boom, boom. Like, oh, there's a gun going off. But this, like, if you didn't hear, like, it scared you. It was so loud. And it was like every time something was shot, you felt it, and you understand the seriousness of a gunshot.
Because like even just the tense moments of, well, first at the right off the bat at the beginning of the movie, the French guy, running down the streets with all those other French guys. It looked like. Those gunshots were like 1, 2, like they were like just like very distinct, and those are scary. Those are loud and 1, 2, and then he escapes, and then just from there, like anytime there's a bomb, boom. The other thing I remember too was when they're in that ship that was gonna go in the tide, and they were target practice, I think I said. And they go 1 through. 2 through, and every time it was loud, and you're like in there, like one of them's gonna get shot. Turns out one does, but that's just like those tense moments that the sound it plays. It's not like a jump scare, but it's just intense.
You feel it, like it sounds the way it should sound. And along with that, especially in those like tense moments, the music was killer, because I started clocking it at one point, and there's a good like 15 minutes in the first third of the movie where the entire time, really quietly underneath everything that's going on, there's just that little
and it just kept going.
And I think it's one of those things where subconsciously you start to tighten up when you hear that, and it just keeps going and going and going, and it kind of lends to this feeling of just the entire. There's no release. There's never a let up moment, and that really quiet little underline. I think it's a string instrument or whatever the hell. Just like makes you like the whole time, and it's the whole soundtrack to this killed.
That's another thing that'll probably get nominated for is Hans Zimmer.
There wasn't a lot of not a lot of dialogue.
No, that's actually my next point. There was the first 15 minutes of the movie. There was nothing. There was no talking, because the first 5 to 8 minutes was the French guy going through, and then he gets on the beach and no one's talking because they're all scared.
What are they going to talk about?
And then he finally talks to the British guy and helps him bury, and that's kind of where it picks up. Another thing I looked up was Tom Hardy. He had 10 lines in the entire movie. But he was actually he was the most interesting part for me.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I liked him a lot. Actually, no, I'm going to take that back. He was the second most interesting. The first was that family on the boat.
That was my
favorite.
Especially the dad, the old guy. Because, and I think this, like the reason this story is so important to, like this is a super patriotic British story. And one of the reasons I think that's the case is because of all those civilians that went over there and risked all themselves. So I'm not British, but I felt super patriotic for them, because they didn't have to go do, especially that guy. They were just going to commandeer his boat. He's like, no, I'll sail it myself. Let's go. And that sense of patriotism was really impactful. Especially in the scene where the boats are coming in and the soldiers are all cheering for him coming in. Like I got a little emotional at that part. That was really cool. Pretty killer.
And then like the youngest son dying that scarecrow, I can't remember that guy's name.
Cillian Murphy.
Yeah, he didn't take over the boat. That was pretty cool. No, I mean all 3 little subplots that were going on were really good. I liked Harry Styles a lot. He acted well. I didn't know what chops he had, but he was pretty good.
He wasn't given like a ton to do. I mean, just as much as anybody else. I mean, there's just not a lot of dialogue. But you've got to do it physically. And he was able to do that. Yeah, I would say.
No, he did a really good job.
there's a really cool element or theme, I guess you could call it, in this, and it's kind of like the every man for himself versus like sacrifice the one for the whole. Because a few of the characters, those two guys we just talked about, the French guy and the English guy, that are running around together, and they kind of join up with Harry Styles. They're really just trying to do whatever they can to get themselves off of the beach. And then you have like Tom Hardy. He should have turned around and went, like his orders were to go until he's out of fuel and go home. But he had to save that last boat and kind of risked and ended up not being able to get back because of that. So you get kind of characters on both sides of it, and you can't, even the guys who were like, I'm trying to get out of here, you can't fault them. I mean, that's what anyone's reaction would be. And it was cool to kind of see that on both sides, and all these
I think the only thing that ever really took me somewhat out of it was the timeline.
Yeah, that was a little bit of a trip.
So, in my thing with a Nolan movie, other than, I guess, Dark Knight, because there's no timeline issues there, but my problem with a Nolan movie is that I'm sitting there trying to figure things out the entire time, and it takes me away from the story and the acting a little bit. So, the first thing you notice that's timeline is the guy who they rescue that's sitting on the plane, Scarecrow. He shows up at when Harry Styles and co were that boat sank. He shows up there, and so you know that happened in the past. So that's where I was like, okay, this seems a little weird. And then I'm just from then on, I was trying to like, where is this taking place? You know. So that kind of took me out at times. I was trying to figure everything out timeline-wise.
Yeah, I didn't really understand. And then they kind of show like 1, the mole, 2, the sea, 3, the air. And they have like 1 day, 1 week, 1 hour or something like that. And that confused me.
Yeah, it did too.
But I didn't. So what I did was I just said, I don't care what the time is. Just keep showing me cool stuff. So I wasn't really trying to follow the timeline. But I think if you were, it was confusing as hell because, for one thing, so it's Tom Hardy and his buddy are trying to the buddy goes down and Tom Hardy goes on, and then like 15 minutes later it spins back to that, and you get the buddy's perspective when he almost drowns in the boat or in the plane,
and the sea guys are trying to save him. So that kind of took me out because I was trying to figure it out, and eventually I had to do that where I was like, I'll just watch it and it'll unfold eventually. But I'm always trying to do that with movies, is trying to figure it out. But I guess with a Nolan movie, it's kind of hard to do. And it wasn't too much though. You know, it wasn't like it was a mind fuck. But you know, it was just, you know, it made you think a little too much sometimes, I guess. But
yeah, I think if you were trying to follow that, I think it probably was annoying. Yeah,
and it was a good payoff at the end though. I mean, just kind of everything coming together. Everything did. They didn't explain absolutely everything timeline wise, but it did come together. You know. So that was my only issue.
Yeah, I can't think of any. I can't poke a hole in this movie. I mean, other than so this was a fantastic movie. It was super well made and well executed and all. I don't want to watch it again. It's just like, it's like sitting on my chest, this movie is. And so it's like, I'm glad that I've seen it, but I don't really want to go back and watch it again. It's like, I don't know, I can't think of another example of a movie like that. But there are movies like that.
I know you haven't seen Hacksaw Ridge, but that's kind of that's very similar that way. And I was thinking that too. Actually, was like, would I buy this on Blu-ray? And it'd be hard to watch again. I think I actually kind of would want to watch it though, just for trying to figure out, you know, pay a little more attention. Like, did that French guy die or not? You know. That actually brings up a good point. So, with this type, like with Hacksaw Ridge, that movie, I wouldn't watch. Like, I'll watch it again eventually because I own it. But with Hacksaw Ridge, that movie has guts, gore, everything. This movie, there's no blood. I can't think of any blood.
Yeah, not really. I mean, there is some in little bits, but it's not the
there's no intestines coming out or anything like that. It's a war movie, but it's never there's a couple guns, but that's about it. You know, it's a war movie, but it's more of a survival movie, really, than anything else. You know, which is it's insane.
It's an interesting kind of take on that. Yeah, because they could have blown up a ship and showed you a bunch of guys with like their legs coming off and stuff, but they didn't go that route, and I appreciate that. I don't want to watch all that stuff.
Yeah, there's times where I think doing that is necessary, but with a movie like this, and especially just I don't know, just with how Nolan is, he normally doesn't do that anyway. But just to tell that, like, to focus more on the story, he focused more on the story than he focused on. And he focused on the story without blood. He focused on the story without much dialogue. He let everyone act through themselves, through their facial expressions or their reactions, things like that, which is insane.
It's very understated.
I mean, Leo can win an Oscar just by grunting. One of these guys can win an Oscar by facial actions.
Gosh. Another kind of cool thing I thought. And maybe I just wasn't paying close enough attention, or maybe it was the accents throwing me off. I don't know the names of any of the characters.
I don't either.
And I'm wondering if that was intentional on his part, to say something like, these are just a few guys in a sea of guys, and this could be any of their stories. Yeah. And I think that was an interest for me. Like, if that was on purpose, that was a really cool way to do that. Yeah. To not really have their characters' names.
Yeah, there wasn't any backstory in any of them.
They didn't show, I got a wife to get home to, because they all, they all have. Yep. They're all just kind of placeholders. Yeah. So by telling a couple of their stories, he's telling them all.
Another like really good actor, the commander guy, the
Kenneth Branagh.
What's that?
This Kenneth Branagh.
Who's that?
He's like one of the biggest British actors ever. Okay. He's like Hamlet, and he's done every Shakespeare movie. Yeah, you've probably seen his version.
I've seen him before. I've seen his face before. I know he's a good actor, but in this, I noticed it a couple times, his facial reactions. Like when he would see a plane coming, and just the way his eyes would open, his mouth was like agape. And then when something good had happened, like when he saw all of the British ships come in, and just the smile on his face, and like you could see like there was hope. Yep. You could see the hope in his face. Like that was incredible. Yeah, because it was, again, really understated, because he could have been woo and pumping his fist, or he could, but he just very stoically, kind of little smile, and his eyes were welling up, and that was a really cool way to do that. Yeah. His character was really cool. And then he was the one that wanted to stay back at the end to help the French, which is a really cool, again, going back to the one versus many scenario. He did his job. He could go and leave and go home, but he wants to do more, which is really cool. They closed with, the guy was reading the newspaper.
And that was Winston Churchill's mega famous speech. We'll fight them on the beaches, and that was really cool, because they could have done, and I think most movies would do a voiceover of the recording of Winston Churchill saying it. But by having him read it, I think it was way more impactful. And along with that, Harry Styles is kind of thinking at the end,
we lost.
We got out, but we got beat. Yeah. Why are you clapping for us and all this? We didn't win. And that's another interesting thing, because a lot of these guys are just happy to get home, but he's out there wanting to win. Yep. And then I think he's starting to realize at the end that they're this inspiration now, and then it's going to propel them through. Yeah. Spoiler alert: Harry Styles, we win. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd never heard of Dunkirk really before, and I didn't really pay attention in history that much, but I didn't know the story, so that was kind of nice. Because with most war movies, you pretty much know what's happening going in, and obviously you know that they're gonna get out somehow. But I didn't know. I sat there for a little bit thinking, like, what is the story? When are they gonna get off the beach and start fighting? Well, the story is they're on the beach, they're trying to get out. It's not about victory; it's about survival.
Yep, exactly.
So
Which I think that's one of the taglines.
Really?
Survival is victory, I think.
Huh. I don't know that.
So there you go. You could write taglines.
I'm a marketer. I want to go take a nap now.
There just really isn't much to say because I'm floored.
Yeah.
I really am. I think because what did we see? It was Tomatoes. It's in the 90s, right?
Yeah, it's 92.
Yeah, which I think is, come on.
Go!
Yeah, F you, buddy.
Go!
Which I think is well deserved.
Do you know what movie we just saw? You better get out of the way. Oh man. Yeah, it's especially it's tough to it's tough to communicate after a movie communicate what you're feeling after a movie like that because it just takes so much out of you.
Mm-hmm. It really gives, we talked earlier about how they didn't use a lot of CG and they left a lot of the dialogue out, and it really makes you appreciate filmmaking.
Yeah.
And really all of his movies do that.
Yeah.
The guy's a genius, it seems.
He always does. Yeah, he always shoots it on film. He never does digital.
Mm-hmm.
He always does as many practical things as he can. You know how much stuff he probably blew up?
Probably a lot. I hope he didn't drown any actual guys.
Final thoughts?
Oh my god. I think this will get a lot of nominations.
I do too.
And they're well deserved.
Yes.
Nolan is obviously a genius. The acting in here was great.
Yep.
The music was great. They just told this story so well,
yeah.
And everything landed with me really hard. It's just fantastic.
Yeah.
I don't know I can't be more specific than how great it just was in general.
Yep. I thought visuals were amazing. Acting was amazing. Writing was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
It was amazing.
Yeah. Oof. But that said, I need to go do something happy because I am just flat out exhausted.
Oh yeah.
To go watch a comedy or something.
I'm gonna go watch Hacksaw Ridge.
Dude, yeah, totally.